Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Stock Carnage with the weekly comic book roundup. This time, actually covering this week's books. A small week, so yeah, gonna kick things off with this week's Marvel books, starting with Hellions, number 10. Where we left off in Hellions, Jason Wingard, the mutant known as Mastermind, had betrayed Mr. Sinister and was in fact working for none other than Arcade. And, excuse me. The Hellions went to, well, rescue Sinister. Which is when we learned that Wingard was working for Arcade and they were all taken prisoner. So the issue begins. Arcade wakes up Sinister. He's basically stating what he's doing and asking confirm and getting a response of confirmed from it. To explain that it's basic. It's to basically make sure that Mastermind isn't manipulating Arcade as well. We get a look at the. But the basic idea is that Mastermind is putting everyone through the lives they want, giving them what they want before destroying them. Also, Arcade has Mastermind's daughter, Lady Mastermind, held prisoner. In Psylocke's illusion, she had a daughter, or she's with her daughter, and they're living a simple life by the sea. Grey Crow is back in the war he fought in, presumably the Sian Kong conflict, which the fictitious Sian Kong conflict, which has been kind of the retconned. Everyone that was involved in the Vietnam War was now involved in this. Next up, we've got Empath, who is basically being a greedy little shit, and there to see is everyone he's ever hurt, and he loves it. Wild Child. Basically, it's about getting to be a bigger badass than Wolverine and Sabretooth. Nanny and Orphan Maker. Nanny gets to see all the orphans, and Orphan Maker ends up having two nannies. Alex has got, or Havoc has got Madeline. It is also stated that there's something to Arcade's assistant, Miss Locke. But it turns out that what Arcade wants is he wants a clone farm. He wants Sinister to make him a clone farm. And it means to be free. So it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But Arcade wanted them to, Arcade wanted them to torture him into agreeing. And he goes after, and basically decides to yank out some of Sinister's teeth. In Psylocke's fantasy, she ends up basically she ends up seeing through it when she asks her daughter her name. Her daughter doesn't know, however, and that is when the other Psylocke busts in. It's the Betsy Braddock Psylocke when she was in Gwenon's body. Betsy gets a message out to Grey Crow, who then sees that what he's at who's now instead of seeing dead soldiers, sees dead pile of dead Morlocks. There's also some internal correspondence from Murder World. Page 1 of a 13-page memo. Basically, some reminders of how of behavior. Everyone employed there has a basically is being coerced. But Miss Locke informs Arcade that something is wrong in two of the bays. Mastermind apparently fears that the illusions are breaking, and the Hellions are spitting out the stick or the carrot. So Arcade says that Mastermind can use the stick and kill the Hellions with their nightmares. And so everything turns sour in all of the fantasies. Empath, faced with everyone he ever hurt, basically tries to use his powers, only they won't work. Wild Child goes from having torn open Sabretooth's throat to being attacked by Sabretooth, Wolverine, and even Romulus. Havoc goes from being in a seemingly healthy, loving relationship with Madeline Pryor to being her slave. Psylocke is on the run through the woods from, Psylocke. Greycrow is being attacked by the zombified Marauders. Danny Orphanmaker being swarmed by the orphans. And Arcade is enjoying every minute of it. And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our next book of the week, Avengers number 43. Where we left off in Avengers, the Phoenix was back and looking for a new host. Also, the original host of the Phoenix revealed to Thor that she is, in fact, his mother, not Gaia. But the fight that was about to start as the last issue ended was between a Phoenix-empowered Wolverine and a Phoenix-empowered Black Panther. Which is where the issue picks back up. In Chernobyl, with the fight between Wolverine and Black Panther, they're actually kind of evenly matched. With Black Panther using vibranium to try and keep the influence of the Phoenix at bay. But Phoenix realizes and actually sends more power to Black Panther in an attempt to overload the vibranium. All this while we get the Phoenix's POV about Earth. The tide turns in Panther's favor. However, but then we cut to Easter Island where Hulk and Valkyrie are duking it out, and Hulk explains that she doesn't think that Jane has it in her, has what's needed in her. But Jane figures that Hulk's talking about being able to tame the Phoenix Force, but Jane explains that she's not talking about Phoenix, she's talking about killing Namor. At Stonehenge, Black Knight and Red Widow duke it out, and, Red Widow wins. And where Black Knight is returned to Avengers Mountain, as is American Eagle, who just lost his fight with Shanna the She-Devil and Zabu. But the Defenders of the Deep are fighting the Avengers. It seems as well as Wakandan forces. While Thor talks with the original host of the Phoenix, who is still claiming to be his mother. Thor thinks she's full of crap. Captain Marvel asks Tony what's going on, and Tony's actually been able to hear the conversation and kind of muses about why can't any of them have just normal, boring parents. And when Jane, having been defeated by Hulk, pulls Thor out of the way of the Phoenix, and briefly refers to him as Odin's son. And let's just say that's a name he does not wish to be called at the moment. In the White Hot Room, Namor and Cap argue, with Cap basically saying, do you want the Phoenix Force bad enough to kill me? And Namor's like, hey, if you think I would hesitate to shatter everybody in your body just because I've allowed you the honor of fighting by my side in the past, you know nothing of me. And then Shanna and Zabu return, as does Red Widow and Hulk and Black Panther. And so, the next round is Namor versus Hulk, Shanna and Zabu versus Red Widow, and Cap versus Black Panther. Cap's hoping to maybe settle things with rock, paper, scissors, but hopes that they can, but figures but is well aware they probably won't be able to. And Black Panther states that seems like only shield and claws will do, and that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our next book, America Chavez, Made in the USA, #1. So first off, who is America Chavez? She is a superhero from another Earth. She was a member of the, I want to say, post-Secret War Ultimates. And she may hail from the Ultimate Universe. She was also part of the recent West Coast Avengers lineup that included Hawkeye, Quentin Quire, Gwenpool, and a few others. And, yeah. Anyway, so the issue begins on Jones Beach in New York 13 years ago. A Hispanic family out looking at the stars comes across a young woman. In the present, America and Kate are in LA fighting giant moles at a school. A student at the school goes to interview America outside, claiming to be her biggest fan, did a paper on her, so on and so forth. It's also how we get our exposition. But America asks if she misses the Santanas. And it turned out the Santanas were the family that found her. The Santanas were the family from earlier, and they found America on the beach. As we get a second wave of giant moles, America's girlfriend, Ramon, shows up, who is, I might add, the sister of Kate Bishop's boyfriend, Fuse. But something's going funky with America's powers. Occasionally, they're turning off. Which happens while she's fighting the giant moles. She wakes up Then a flashback to Washington Heights, where she lived with the Santanas, before she comes to in her room with Ramon. And apparently Ramon's parents were going to be in town and want to take Ramon and America out for dinner, but yeah. But America explains to Ramon something weird's going on with her powers. Sometimes things are just fine, totally normal, and then the next minute, her powers just stop. But she's got this app that lets her keep tabs on her hometown, on her old neighborhood, and apparently there's a giant force field around it. So she heads to New York to check it out. We can flashbacks. Alberto Santana, or Berto, was reached out to her and kind of, trying to make her feel more welcome and at home. America goes to fly over the force field, and her powers quit working, and she lands in a dumpster. But Spider-Man finds her, and well, yeah. America has an idea. Hits the barrier with a dimension-shattering punch. They basically evacuate the neighborhood, but it turns out that the building that the Santanas live in is on fire. So America goes to take care. Her parents were still inside. Her family's still inside, so she. But she punches a hole in the roof, grabs a water tower, and puts the fire out. Goes to rescue her family. And one of the neighbors hands her a note saying you should keep a closer eye on your family, America. While this is going on, there's a shadowy figure watching America's actions. And that is where the issue ends. And now we come to this week's King in Black tie-ins. Starting with Thunderbolts, number 3. Where we left off, our merry band of misfits had found part of the Sentry's body, which they were on their way to turning into a giant bomb. So, apparently, Star found the rest of it in the ocean. Basically, they tape the two halves together, and they start making their way into New York. But it's kind of okay, as we are, we can't, we're not going to be much good carrying and run the Sentry. We're going to have to recruit some of these guys into the team. So they do. Figment, Fool Killer, Manbull, Mr. Hyde, Grizzly. Though Hyde mentions that he already was a Thunderbolt. Fool Killer gets attacked by some of the forces and turned. They also make a move against Taskmaster, but Star saves him. As well as the rest of the team. Oh, I should mention, there was also a nod to another government-backed squad of supervillains that are made to do good covert action. Good covert actions made by Mr. Fear. But I think they're on the Brooklyn Bridge. They can't get through to the other side. Maybe they get higher though. Maybe they get on higher ground. So mainly so that Star can basically take their Sentry bomb and detonate it. So they the door is kicked in so they can go take care of that. With Taskmaster saying that he'll stay behind to Basically, he's going to stay behind to make sure that no one gets to him. He calls Fisk. Everything's ready. But he's heading out. He's got the money. He's been paid. But it turns out that Fisk's whole thing was basically so that people could see that, he at least attempted to do something. Also, seems that Taskmaster's been wearing a false face, which he's peeling off as he's talking on the phone. But they tape Sentry's corpse to Star. She flies off. Seemingly, Sentry's body explodes, but it doesn't do anything for the target. And apparently Mary has been freed of Null's influences. She's there watching with Fisk. Fisk then makes the video address we saw from the beginning of the first issue. And the Thunderbolts walk in. Very alive. Apparently Figment created an illusion on a massive scale. And so it's explained that basic Taskmaster tells Fisk, we work for you now. We're the Thunderbolts and we work for you now. If the heroes manage to kick Null's ass, yeah, we're your new employees, and this is how much we get paid. And what you are going to pay us for this is what we get paid on the daily. Oh, per week, not day. As the issue ends, Mr. Fear, they've still got Sentry's corpse with them, by the way. He said he loves his job. But that is where the issue and the series end. And to be perfectly honest, I'm actually totally cool with that becoming the new Thunderbolts lineup. Especially if Matt Rosenberg is writing it. Should put that earworm in it. I should bring that up. I'm sure others have been bringing it up on Twitter to him, but yeah. Next up, we've got Gwenom versus Carnage number 3, where we left off. After duking out a bit, after Ghost Spider and the Mary Jane Watson of her Earth, who ended up coming to Earth 616 and being possessed by an offshoot of Ghost Spider's costume. After the two of them fought for a bit, MJ, upon realizing that, upon hearing the Ghost Spider tell her that, your suit, without being enhanced, your suit's going to kill you. Well, MJ goes to the symbiote possessed Carnage, or MJ goes after, decides to go and have a killing spree. Also, Gwen's in a bit of a chat with Null. Null wants to control her. Her suit is not part of Null's hive mind. Null wants to change that. Null has connected himself to MJ, however. Anyway, so the issue is largely just Ghost Spider chasing MJ, arguing with her, occasionally fighting with her. Eventually, MJ decides to go to the garden, put a new band together, and it's gonna be her big debut. Finally, Gwen challenges MJ. Okay, which was is to prove who's the better. So, MJ's got her guitar, Gwen's got drums. Sonics go off and are able to eventually get the suit off of MJ. And Gwen rescues her. The dimensional Gwen's dimensional necklace originally was a portal, but then it starts to open a portal, but the portal, instead of opening, just goes back to goes into a closed position. And Gwen assures MJ she's going to help her. However, the issue ends with there being a red spiral in one of MJ's eyes, implying she might still be under the influence of Null. But that is the end of the series. Next up, we've got King in Black, Captain America. Basically, after Cap was liberated from Null's influence by Dylan Brock and Jean Grey, he hooks up with Falcon and Winter Soldier, who are doing their best against the symbiote hordes. But for most of the issue, Cap is constantly he's still hearing Null's voice is still present in his mind. And so he's constantly arguing. Null is showing him illusions of what could end up happening. And yeah, Cap's kind of off his... Honestly, it's kind of got Cap off his game, and both Falcon and Winter Soldier call him on this. With, in part Winter Soldier saying, hey, I know what it's like to have someone else's voice in your head, man. And that voice is still in mine. The voice that I've had in my head, it's still not gone all these years later. But Cap's able to regroup, and basically it's actually kind of neat. It's a Cap story where Cap actually has to, where it's Cap getting help, not being the helper. Which is, don't get me wrong, I love seeing Cap as the big hero who saves the day, but seeing him have to, basically ask for help, it's nice sometimes, Sometimes that's what you got to do. And but yeah, they Bucky and Falcon help Sam overcome Null's voice in Steve's head, and basically they save the day is saved, and turns out that the plan that Bucky and Falcon were working on was, of course, Hawkeye's plan, because, well, oh, Hawkeye, I love you, but you're an idiot. That might be part of why I love him, though, but. And then the three of them head out to the big final battle. Which brings us to our final Marvel book of the week. King in Black, Wiccan and Hulkling. So, where we last saw Wiccan and Hulkling, they were getting married. Wiccan was named court wizard to the King of Space, his husband, Hulkling. So yeah, the issue begins actually kind of picking up in the aftermath of Web of Venom Empire's End, with Talos' crew getting basically taken over by symbiotes. But Null instructs them to, well, kill their king. As Null is the only king there should be. But elsewhere, Hulkling is holding court. And his final appointment has arrived. Representative from the Shi'ar Empire, Vice Chancellor Takao, basically kind of saying that first, there is a saying amongst the Shi'ar that every good king will one day be their enemy. That said, today is not that day, and they're there to congratulate the Vice Chancellor there to congratulate the couple on their wedding with a robot that dispenses champagne, as well as a week on one of the finest resorts, Shi'ar resorts. The Emperor graciously accepts that with some convincing from his court wizard, and initially was just for two. They understand it's an Earth custom, something called a honeymoon, but a compromise is made. They'll bring accuser L'Oreal. So yeah, the resort is nice. They're having a great time, and then Null's invasion kicks off. So they go to figure out what's going on. And honestly, try to see about helping. Okay, we're superheroes. Should we report to the Imperial Guard or something? But they're helping everyone. So they end up helping everyone there. When they discover it's all Venom stuff, they send L'Oreal to get their ship ready. L'Oreal finds a Kree ship, Talos' old ship, and Talos' old crew. Hulkling checks in with the Imperium, and Mergen explains that they're getting reports of Null sweeping through space, carving a path through space with a fleet of dragons. And it's not a Shi'ar and though Mergen thinks it might be a Shi'ar trap, though Hulkling, hey, trust me, it's not. But Hulkling's got a plan. Basically send an evacuation fleet to a specific point, and they're going to get everyone off planet. They're going to save the planet, well, the population at least, which is the important part, to be perfectly honest. L'Oreal makes it to them with Talos' crew hot on her heels. The three of them fight off Talos' crew. However, Hulkling is separated from the others. However, the champagne dispensing robot helps out, as it also has a candle lighting function. Wiccan shows up to help out Hulkling. They at least manage to rescue Talos' crew. At least get them free of the symbiote goo, and basically, but we'll see if maybe Kree-Skrull Alliance medical science can save them, can truly save them. Everyone evacuates, and Hulkling leads the way to the rendezvous fleet. All is said and done, and then 12 hours later, L'Oreal basically kind of says, "Okay, these audiences are over. The Emperor and the Court Wizard have other pressing matters to attend to." Basically saying, "Hey, I'm leaving the champagne robot with you. Enjoy your honeymoon, guys." And that is where the issue ends. And it's a one-shot, so we're not getting more of it. But yeah, actually, a fun little point when Hulkling and Wiccan basically say at the resort that they're superheroes, and what should they report to the Imperial Guard? The person they're talking to at the resort actually says, "Wait, you're not X-Men, are you?" It was an amusing point because, well, to be fair, the Shi'ar largely deal superhero-wise with just the X-Men. It's not to say they've only ever dealt with the X-Men, but yeah, they oftentimes are dealing with the X-Men. Anywho, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.